A billionaire CEO mocks a young black mechanic, only to discover she's the engineering genius who could salvage his reputation and the very person capable of dismantling the empire he built. This isn't just a story about machines, prejudice, or revenge. It's the journey of a woman who turned every insult into fuel until the world had no choice but to bow its head. Right at that moment, Nicholas Sterling was laughing a bitter, echoing laugh that filled the polished workshop of Beverly Hills Motor Works. "You seriously think I'd let someone like you touch my $500,000 Portofino?" he sneered, pointing straight at Monica Carter, who had just calmly explained the actual issue with his Ferrari. The other mechanics exchanged uneasy glances. Some ducked their heads, suddenly busy rearranging tools. Others froze mid-task, quietly watching the unfolding humiliation. Monica stood still, calloused, hands crossed in front of her chest, taking in the arrogant performance. At 28, this wasn't new. "Mr. Sterling," Richard, the shop manager, tried to step in, his voice hesitant. "Maybe we should just hear her out." "Richard?" Nicholas cut him off sharply, his voice slicing through the air-conditioned silence. "I pay 50 grand a year for professional service here, not to be lectured by some YouTube-certified intern." His laugh was sharp, the kind of laugh meant to humiliate, the kind of laugh that assumes everyone else in the room shares your biases. He was performing as if surrounded by imaginary billionaire buddies. Monica inhaled, nostrils flaring slightly, the only sign his words had even touched her. It wasn't the first time someone had questioned her skill based on what they saw. Growing up in Watts, Los Angeles, Monica had learned early she had to be 10 times better than a white man just to get half the respect. A memory flashed, 12 years old, lying under her grandfather's '69 Chevelle, listening to him explain how each part worked. "Monica, baby girl," his voice echoing through their makeshift garage engines. "Don't know your skin color. They don't care where you're from. They only respond to the ones who know what they're doing." "Let me guess." Nicholas went on, circling her now like a predator. "You grew up fixing cars in your daddy's garage, and now you think you're a high-performance expert." His laugh got louder. "See, we invest in real education to understand machines of this caliber." Other customers, all white men in tailored suits, had started paying attention. A few smirked. One whispered something that made the other chuckle. But Nicholas didn't know Monica had graduated top of her class at MIT with a degree in mechanical engineering. He didn't know she'd spent 3 years on the McLaren racing development team before moving back to LA to care for her grandmother. He didn't know her mobile shop, Carter Precision Motors, had a 6-month waitlist with clients flying in from out of state just to have her diagnose their cars. "The issue isn't electronic," Monica said, gently ignoring the laughter entirely. "It's a phase resonance mismatch between the turbo and the fuel injection system. The pressure regulator is operating outside its optimal frequency range. 5 minutes of tuning and this Ferrari will run smoother than the day it left Maranello." Nicholas wiped a tear from laughing, then mock-clapped. "Phase resonance pressure regulator. Did you make those words up?" He turned to the other techs, smirking. "You guys hearing this mechanical poetry?" James, the head technician, cleared his throat, his hands trembling slightly. "Actually, Mr. Sterling, we've already tried everything in the official Ferrari manual, replaced the sensors, recalibrated the ECU 3 times, even contacted the factory in Italy. Maybe we should at least hear her out." "A suggestion is only valid if it comes from someone qualified, James, not from her running a pop-up garage out of a trailer in some forgotten corner of Watts." Nicholas snatched the keys from Monica's hand, careful not to touch her, as if she carried something contagious. "Back to work, everyone. And next time, screen the guests properly. This place isn't open to just anyone." An awkward silence settled in. Only the soft hum of the AC and the ticking of a Swiss clock on the wall broke the stillness. Tension hung in the air like smoke, but no one dared speak. Monica watched Nicholas strut toward his Maserati, his footsteps ringing like hammers on the concrete floor. But her eyes held something no one else could quite place. Not submission, not even anger, but a quiet knowing. The calm of someone who sees the truth long before anyone else does. Richard approached, guilt in his voice. I'm sorry." He gets like this whenever he feels stuck. No one's been able to fix that Ferrari in 3 weeks. "It's fine," Monica said, walking toward the door with calm confidence. Some people need a big fall to learn a simple lesson. Trust me, that fall is coming sooner than he thinks. She stopped at the glass doors, turned back, and scanned the room. When none of you can fix his car in 2 weeks, when he's forced to swallow his pride, my business card will still be sitting on the windshield of that Ferrari. The whole workshop chuckled at what sounded like a ridiculous prophecy. No one noticed the quiet smile tugging at the corner of Monica's mouth, the kind of smile worn by someone who's walked through storms and didn't just survive, but came out stronger than ever. 3 days after the humiliation at Beverly Hills Motor Works, Nicholas Sterling decided to turn the incident into a story to entertain his fellow entrepreneurs. At a lunch at the upscale Polo Lounge, wineglass in hand, he reenacted the moment with exaggerated flair. "You should have seen that girl's face when I told her she wasn't touching my Ferrari." Nicholas laughed heartily. She just stood there pretending to know something about this so-called phase resonance. Can you believe that? Like someone like her could possibly understand Italian engineering. David Thornton, a tech CEO, joined in, chuckling. They always try to play expert, watch a few YouTube videos, and suddenly think they're engineers. What Nicholas didn't know was that Monica had heard those kinds of comments her entire life. At 16, interning at a luxury car garage in Newport Beach, she learned how to become invisible when wealthy men talked shop around exotic vehicles. It was also there she overheard whispers of tax evasion, shady deals, and the financial games that funded their glamorous lifestyles. That very afternoon, Nicholas got a frantic call from Richard at the shop. "Mr. Sterling, we need to talk. This morning we tried another adjustment, and things have gotten much worse." Worse, how Nicholas felt a sharp pang in his chest. "You told me everything was under control." "Well, the engine is now unstable. Sometimes it runs fine, other times it loses power completely. Our latest diagnostics suggest that we may need to replace the entire power unit." Richard hesitated. "At minimum, we're talking about $200,000. The color drained from Nicholas's face. 200 grand to fix a $500,000 car. That was supposed to be insured. Warranty doesn't cover damage caused by unauthorized third-party adjustments," Richard explained. "Legally speaking, ever since Ms. Carter approached the vehicle before the issue worsened." "She didn't even touch the engine," Nicholas shouted. She looked at it. "I understand, sir. But legally, I have to report unauthorized contact. It's insurance protocol." As Nicholas reeled from the sensation of being completely outmaneuvered on the other side of the city, Monica welcomed a surprise visitor at her own garage. A well-dressed woman in her early 50s, soft Italian accent, arriving in a pristine McLaren P1. "You're Monica Carter," the woman asked, her tone laced with genuine curiosity. "I'm Isabella Romano, Western U.S. Technical Director for Ferrari. I heard an interesting story about you at last week's Automotive Engineering Conference." Monica narrowed her eyes. "What story?" "A colleague mentioned you diagnosed a resonance issue in the Portofino just by listening to the engine. That's highly unusual." Isabella glanced around Monica's modest yet impeccably organized workshop. "Where did you study automotive engineering?" "MIT Mechanical Engineering. Then I spent 3 years at McLaren Racing in the UK." Monica noticed the genuine surprise on Isabella's face. "I came back to Los Angeles when my grandmother got sick." Isabella nodded slowly, piecing things together. "McLaren Racing. So you've worked with next-gen hybrid powertrains. I helped develop the synchronization system between the electric motor and the combustion engine in the P1. Also worked on acoustic optimization to minimize harmonic resonance at high performance." Monica folded her arms now, growing curious about where this was going. "Why are you asking me all this?" "Because the issue you identified in that Portofino, it's the same one our engineers in Maranello have been trying to resolve for 6 months. It's a real fault, but almost impossible to detect without specialized equipment." Isabella paused. "And yet you found it, with nothing but your ears." Meanwhile, Nicholas Sterling was beginning to realize that the public humiliation he'd dished out was coming back to haunt him. A short video, secretly recorded by a technician at the shop, had started spreading across internal WhatsApp groups and inevitably made its way to social media. The title of the clip, "Billionaire Humiliates Black Mechanic, Then Begs for Help." Within hours, it racked up over 15,000 views, drawing furious comments from people who had faced discrimination themselves. Jennifer Nicholas's assistant called in a panic. "Mr. Sterling, we might need to hire a crisis management firm. Your name is everywhere right now. It's just the internet, Jennifer. Give it a few days. It'll blow over. Nicholas tried to sound composed, but his voice wavered. He knew full well his reputation was the backbone of his tech company, and government contracts extremely sensitive to anything involving racial controversy. Back in Monica's garage, Isabella made an unexpected proposal. I'd like you to take a look at a few of our tougher cases, unofficially, of course, as an external technical advisor. Monica gave a slight smile. And what would my title be on paper? The one who gets results? Isabella replied without hesitation. At Ferrari, we only care about who can solve the problems no one else can. Your resume speaks for itself. That evening, as Monica reviewed the technical files Isabella had left behind, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She picked up. It was James, the head technician at Beverly Hills Motor Works. Monica. It's me, James. You remember me, right? You came in last week. I shouldn't be calling you, but the issue with Mr. Sterling's Ferrari, it's worse. Much worse. Go on, Monica said calmly. We've tried everything, replaced components, recalibrated the system, even brought in experts from the factory in Italy. Nothing worked. Now they're suggesting a full engine replacement. Monica was silent for a moment, processing the information. And Mr. Sterling? How's he reacting? He's desperate. The insurance company's now questioning the warranty because of your presence that day. And now the video's gone viral. James let out a long sigh. I know things got off on the wrong foot between you two. But Monica, do you really think you can fix that car? James, Monica replied gently. I've always known I could fix it. The issue was never my ability. Every setback had only strengthened the fire inside her, the kind of fire people blinded by prejudice never bothered to see. And now Monica was beginning to realize the universe was quietly handing her the perfect opportunity to prove that talent has no race, no class, no gender. The next morning, Isabella returned to Monica's garage, this time with 3 engineers from Italy, each skeptical they could learn anything from a modest shop tucked into the streets of Los Angeles. Monica, this is Marco Geppe, and Francesca Isabella introduced them. They're here from Italy to study your diagnostic method. Ms. Carter Marco began in a heavy Italian accent. We've heard of your unique ability. At Ferrari, we rely on decades of tradition and cutting-edge technology. How can you diagnose without specialized equipment? Monica smiled and led them to her workstation, where a V8 engine lay fully disassembled. Every engine has its own acoustic fingerprint. When there's a fault, the resonant frequencies shift in predictable ways. She placed a stethoscope onto different parts of the engine. Try listening. Yeppe frowned. I don't hear anything unusual. That's because you've been trained to rely on machines. I was trained to listen to the machine's soul. Monica gently turned a component barely noticeable. Now listen again. This time there was a subtle but undeniable shift in tone. The 3 engineers exchanged glances, stunned. Francesca was the first to speak. That's extraordinary. You can distinguish frequency changes by ear. I can do more than that, Monica replied, eyes glowing with quiet confidence. I can predict engine failure weeks in advance just by listening. Meanwhile, Nicholas Sterling was watching his problems multiply like wildfire. The humiliating video had now surpassed 300,000 views. 3 major corporate clients had pulled their contracts, citing incompatible values. Jennifer burst into his office. Ferrari still hasn't fixed the car, and the insurance company just issued a notice they're considering denying coverage due to unauthorized third-party involvement. Involvement, Nicholas snapped. She didn't even do anything. Technically, sir, she was present, and the video shows you refusing her help in a way that could be interpreted as racially motivated. Jennifer hesitated. The insurance attorneys think it could open you up to liability. Nicholas slumped into his Italian leather chair. In just 1 week, he'd gone from successful CEO to public pariah. His Ferrari was still broken, and the legal headaches were just beginning. Back in Monica's shop, Isabella made an offer that could change everything. Monica, after observing your work, I received full backing from the Ferrari board. We'd like to appoint you as exclusive technical consultant for the Western U.S. Monica blinked, caught off guard. That's a big offer. That's not all, Isabella continued. We also want to license your acoustic diagnostic method. Our engineers believe it could revolutionize predictive maintenance. Isabella paused for a beat. A 5-year contract worth $2 million, not including royalties, every time your method is used. Marco, clearly excited, added, "In Italy, we have a saying, genius knows no borders. You proved that today." A wave of emotion swelled inside Monica, but she kept her composure. "I accept on one condition." "What's that?" Isabella asked. "I want to start with a specific case, the Portofino that's been malfunctioning for weeks." She smiled. "Think of it as a live test." Isabella smiled back. "You mean Nicholas Sterling's Ferrari?" "Exactly," Monica replied, her eyes flashing with the spark of someone about to step into the final lap of a high-stakes race. That afternoon, Monica received a desperate call from Richard, the shop manager. "Monica, I know we've got no right to ask after what happened, but we're truly out of options. Sterling's Ferrari engine is breaking down in a way none of us have ever seen." He hesitated. "James said, you once claimed you could fix it in 5 minutes. And does Mr. Sterling know you're calling me?" Monica asked calmly. "Honestly, no, he doesn't. But Monica, if we don't fix that car soon, we'll have to publicly admit we failed." Monica interrupted, voice steady. "Tell Mr. Sterling you got a special referral from Ferrari Corporation. Don't mention my name at first. Just say a certified technical expert wants to inspect the vehicle. But after the way he treated you," Richard, Monica replied, "this isn't about him. It's about proving something far bigger." As soon as she hung up, Monica called Isabella. "I need a favor. Tomorrow when I go to Beverly Hills Motor Works, I want you with me officially as a representative of Ferrari." Of course, Isabella agreed. "But may I ask why?" "Because some lessons about respect and competence need to be taught the right way. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is doing your job so well that no one dares question you again." The next morning, Nicholas received a call from Richard, one that brought both hope and suspicion. "Mr. Sterling, good news. Ferrari Corporation has assigned a technical expert to inspect your Portofino." "Finally," Nicholas exclaimed. "Can I meet them at the shop? They'll be there within the hour. This expert says they'll diagnose and fix the issue today." For the first time in weeks, Nicholas felt a flicker of relief. What he didn't know was that across the city, Monica was suiting up in her sharpest coveralls, packing her precision tool case, preparing for a performance that would redefine what it means to be capable, respected, and unshakably undeniable. When everyone assumed this was just another desperate attempt to fix a hopeless car, something extraordinary was quietly taking shape, not just within the engine, but in the balance of power that was about to shift entirely. Nicholas Sterling strode into Beverly Hills Motor Works, with his usual swagger, adjusting his tie as he crossed the parking lot. At last, a real expert was going to take care of things. He didn't even bother checking social media that morning, completely unaware that his humiliating video had now surpassed 800,000 views. "Where's the Ferrari expert?" Nicholas demanded as Richard avoided his eyes. "They're examining your car, in the VIP service bay," Richard replied, tense. "There's also an official Ferrari representative with them." Nicholas headed straight toward the back of the garage where his Ferrari was surrounded by cutting-edge diagnostic equipment. Two figures leaned over the open engine compartment. One wore a sharp, tailored suit, clearly Italian with that unmistakable grace. The other dressed in a crisp white technician's uniform. "Sorry I'm late," Nicholas announced. "I'm Nicholas Sterling," the owner of Monica turned around. A small smile played at the corners of her lips. "Hello again, Mr. Sterling." Nicholas went pale. His face twitched confusion, recognition, horror, and finally despair. "What the? You? What the hell are you doing here?" Isabella Romano stepped forward with the composed grace of someone long accustomed to managing chaos. "Mr. Sterling, allow me to introduce Monica Carter, Ferrari Corporation's exclusive technical consultant for the Western United States, MIT graduate, former McLaren racing engineer, and now a core member of our global technical team." "This is impossible," Nicholas shouted, hands shaking. "You have to be joking." "We're quite serious," Isabella replied smoothly. "Ms. Carter just signed a $2 million contract with Ferrari. Her diagnostic method will be adopted across our global tech operations." Nicholas turned to Richard, grasping for one last thread of hope. Richard, tell me this is a prank. Tell me Richard swallowed hard. Ferrari confirmed all her credentials, and she diagnosed the issue in under 10 minutes. Resonance misalignment between the turbocharger and fuel injection system, Monica said evenly, wiping her hands with a cloth. Exactly what I said from the very beginning. The repair took 15 minutes. Nicholas collapsed into a nearby chair. No, no way. Take it for a spin, Isabella said, holding out the keys. With trembling hands, Nicholas started the car. The engine purred, not just fixed, but smoother than the day he bought it. Every rev purred with precision, every press of the pedal was silk. He stammered, How did you... Competence, Monica replied, staring him straight in the eye. The very thing you once said people like me couldn't possibly have. At that moment, Nicholas's phone began vibrating non-stop. Jennifer, his assistant, was calling frantically. Mr. Sterling, where are you? Everything's exploding. The videos hit 800,000 views. The press won't stop calling. What press? Nicholas asked, but he already knew the answer. Isabella turned her iPad around. The screen lit up with headlines, CNN Tech Ferrari signs. Black female engineer once rejected for her race. Forbes genius knows no color. The Monica Carter story. Wall Street Journal. CEO loses millions as racist video goes viral. Nicholas scrolled through his phone in panic. My contracts, he muttered. 3 companies had already terminated their partnerships that very morning. Isabella added calmly. Seems like discrimination doesn't align with modern corporate values anymore. James, the head technician, stepped forward sheepishly. Mr. Sterling, I'm sorry. Monica was right from the beginning. We should have listened. Listened! Nicholas exploded. You've destroyed my life because of this. Finish that sentence, Mr. Sterling, Monica said softly, but her voice cut through the garage like a blade. Finish it. Let everyone hear who you really are. Nicholas looked around, only now realizing that dozens of phones were pointed in his direction. Customers, technicians, even Isabella were recording. Sterling Tech stock dropped 22% this morning, Monica added, glancing at her screen. Looks like investors don't want a CEO who's the face of discrimination. Nicholas collapsed onto a nearby chair. A week ago, he'd been a respected entrepreneur. Now a public disgrace. Why, he choked out. Why are you doing this to me? Monica snapped her tool case shut, met his eyes. I didn't do anything, Mr. Sterling. You did this to yourself. The moment you decided that my worth as a human being was based on my skin color and the zip code of my garage. Isabella stepped in. Ferrari enforces a zero-tolerance policy on discrimination. We're currently reviewing a permanent ban for clients whose actions conflict with our values. A ban, Nicholas stammered. No more Ferrari, no Maserati, no Alfa Romeo. Correct? Isabella nodded. And we'll be sharing this information with our luxury brand partners across the alliance. His phone buzzed again. This time it was the board of directors. In a daze, Nicholas answered on speaker without thinking. Nicholas, we've convened an emergency meeting. We need to reevaluate your position at the company immediately. This situation is completely unacceptable. Monica turned and walked out of the garage, her case in hand. Thank you for giving me the chance to prove that competence has no color, gender, or zip code. Your Ferrari runs perfectly now. Something I could have done in 5 minutes if you had just treated me like a human being from the start. Nicholas could only watch powerless as Monica walked out of the garage surrounded by Italian engineers bowing their heads in respect. Respect he had denied her. Outside, a CNN news van was already waiting, preparing to interview the black woman once humiliated in public, now hailed as a global icon in the fight against prejudice. 1 month later, Beverly Hills had turned a new page. The viral video Racist CEO Exposed by Genius Female Engineer had passed 9 million views across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. The media called her the woman who re-engineered the system with a wrench and a mind. Ferrari Corporation held a global press conference in New York City. There stood Monica Carter in a bold crimson suit, hair in a high bun, before hundreds of cameras. She spoke, "We do not lack talent. We lack a society fair enough to recognize it." Ferrari's stock rose 14% after her speech. Other major corporations quickly released updated diversity and inclusion policies, citing Monica as their inspiration. She became a millionaire thanks to her exclusive consulting deal and technical equity stake with Ferrari. Monica used part of her wealth to buy back Uncle David's old garage where it all began. Only this time, she transformed it into the Monica Carter Institute of Engineering, a training center for young engineers of color, women, and minorities entering the high-tech world. We're not just teaching them how to fix cars, she said at the grand opening. We're teaching them how to rebuild the very world that tried to erase them. And Nicholas Sterling, after being ousted from Sterling Tech in a shareholder vote, he was forced to sell nearly all his stock. Investors fled, friends disappeared. No luxury brand would serve him. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, all blacklisted his name. Now he lives quietly in a rented apartment in the suburbs, avoiding interviews and camera lenses. The media only refers to him now as a cautionary tale, what happens when you place prejudice above human worth. One breezy afternoon, Monica returned to Beverly Hills Motor Works, not to fix a car, but as the guest of honor at a major engineering symposium. The entire garage rose in applause as she entered. Richard James and the former technicians stood and said in unison, "Welcome back, Engineer Carter." She smiled gently, her eyes sweeping across the room, a place once marked by pain, now reborn as a monument to triumph. She never needed revenge, because she had already won in the only way no one could ever dispute, with her brilliance, her dignity, and her unshakable grace. They once laughed at her, doubted her, closed every door, and whispered behind her back. But she never asked for permission to exist. She rewrote the rules, and now the very world that tried to silence her puts her on the cover of every magazine. Because when talent walks hand in hand with integrity, no amount of money can ever compete. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like the video if you believe justice can come from the smallest voices. Subscribe so you never miss more powerful and true stories like this one. Comment if you've ever stood up for someone you love, even when no one else believed you.